Ooh, you got me just so crazy over you. We love Madonna. We love Madonna. We love Madonna. We love Madonna.
You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna, Louise, Veronica, Ciccone. Hey everybody, it's Tony, and I will not be your mistress tonight.
Well. If he won't be your mistress tonight, I will be. Hey everybody, it's Ben.
Amen to that, Benjamin. Amen
Hello.
to that, yes. And hey everybody, it's Stefan. Thanks for joining us for another episode of MLVC. We'll give it up, do as I say. Today is our Season 4 finale. I cannot believe we have been podcasting about Madonna for 4 years. I mean,
You know, Stefan, I recall in our earliest days of infancy being in an elevator with some coworkers, in that gorgeous building on Broadway in Houston, and, they just looked at me and they're like, how much could you actually talk about Madonna? And one of them snarkily said, he's like, well, if it were about Mariah, you'd have a lot to talk about. Well, here we are 4 years later, proving them wrong, right?
Yes, amen to that.
Very impressive.
I get that question all the time. Be like, you have a podcast about Madonna? Is there really that much to talk about? Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
You'd be surprised, right, Ben?
Absolutely. Well, I guess if you didn't know, you'd be surprised. But for the rest of us, we're like, wait, just 4 seasons?
What took you so long?
I know,
Right.
Before we jumped into some of the topics of the day, I wanted to talk well, first, let me just say, we are remiss to say that our dear Liberty is unable to join us for our season finale. She has unfortunately caught some germs from the kiddies at school and has taken ill to bed. So she is with us in spirit, and we will hear from her in season 5 again. But and she's also on our theme song, so she's still here.
Yeah, she's an eternal part of the show, and we love you, Liberty, and I hope you feel better. And
Feel better.
More of her in season 5.
Yeah, she needs to get one of those Justin Timberlake vitamin B12 shots that Madonna gave in his ass that one time on the airplane.
Oh my God, how much PR did they just squeeze out of that one factoid?
Before we step into the topics of today, I wanted to do a little review of season 4 and go over some of the awesome highlights, because if you don't toot your own horn, who the hell is going to toot your horn for you?
Exactly. We have a lot to be proud of this season.
Yes,
absolutely.
I wanted to I was looking back at our episodes, and I look at our guests that we've had: Stephen Bray with The Breakfast Club, Vincent Patterson, James Foley. We had Acacia Ruthie from The Girly Show, also Christopher Childers, Jamal Story, Maxie Shield. I mean, that's just
great.
Just tons and tons of people. Tony, what were one of your favorite guests that we spoke to this season?
Oh, I mean, for sure, a dream come true. Validation for the podcast as well, having Stephen Bray and the Breakfast Club on, individually and together. I mean, there were so many questions answered, and I thought I would never be able to live to tell that I'd spoken to Stephen Bray, but here we are, I loved you and Liberty speaking to Vincent Patterson and James Foley, answering questions I needed answers to, and then the additional dancers that you guys spoke to, and of course Maxie Shield from Down Under. That was such a treat. But I mean, one of my favorite things that I saw was you roller skating with Madonna in New York City. Like, what?
Yeah, I think the scar from my leg where somebody fell and kicked me with their skate has almost faded 6 months later.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, the special movie episodes, which just that's what I love. And I love that you guys did that. It's great.
I was going to say, I do think that one of my favorite moments this season, which I'm shocked to be able to say, was reviewing Shanghai Surprise. I'm surprised that Shanghai Surprise was one of my favorite things to do this season. It was the first time I had watched it since it came out, and I now love that movie for some strange reason.
Well, that, and it's such a time capsule. That was the thing I really appreciated after rewatching that movie, is what a time capsule it is. And it's funny that social media has been posting so many old pictures. I guess people thought Sean Penn might show up in Miami, and it made me think about that time period. I'm like, do you really want to go back to that? But nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we also had, I loved this past year. We also, obviously Tony's return from sabbatical. He took leave and then rejoined us, thankfully.
Well, sometimes life gets in the way, but I'm back and I'm excited for season 5 and what will happen in our future for the show.
Mm-hmm. We've also, had the return of Pink Donna. Donna left us, and then Auburn Donna joined us, and she's been just as eventful as Pink Donna has been.
Well, Auburn Donna is also known as No Brow Donna.
Yeah,
good point.
Bleached brow Donna.
I think it was you, Stefan, that brought up that we have these similarities in both of the sex book release parties from 92 and 2022, where no brows, no panties, no brows.
And braids with both looks. I love that.
Yes,
we will get to the sex party in a moment, but I obviously we had Finally Enough Love.
Finally Enough Love
was released. It was sort of like a dual rollout. Yeah. We got the mini version for her Pride performance, and what a Pride performance it was. And then we also got the official 50 song rollout a little later with the roller skating party. It was a fun summer with Madonna.
Yeah. Is it safe to say that Finally Enough Love is the first release from the Warner Brothers catalog reissues? Is that safe to say, or do you think that's like a one-off?
I can't be sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've learned to not theorize too much, because you will get taken to task on social media comments. Oh, speaking of, I did want to say, yes, I know. Back when we talked about her bleached eyebrows making a return, I did say we hadn't seen her bleached eyebrows since her Dita days, and someone took me to task in our comments saying, no, the last time we saw them was Drown World Tour. And so, yes, I had forgotten
that
she did have bleached eyebrows during Drown World Tour. So I do want to own up to my mistake. I apologize.
Sometimes in the Drowned World look, it's hard to really focus on that when you're looking at these incredible Gautier plaid, skirt sets,
and the dancers,
those bodies.
Let's
Antonio.
I just, to Tony's question, I just looked it up on Spotify. The Finally Enough Love, the 50-track piece, is licensed under Rhino as part of the Warner deal. That's why Rhino Records' Twitter account has been tweeting so many of the pictures and the goings-on this week, which they started popping up in my Twitter feed, and I thought, oh, that's weird. Why am I suddenly seeing all these Rhino Records? And then I go and look, and I'm like, wow, they're basically like Liz Rosenberg on Twitter. Like, what is this? It's crazy.
Well, no, I'm glad you confirmed that, because, Stefan, like Stefan just mentioned, it's like we can't really hold her to anything. If this is not what we expected one of the first releases from the Warner deal to look like. So it's like she's kind of managing our expectations. It's like, oh, you thought it was going to be Like a Prayer plus 6 new tracks. No, that's not how we're doing it. So here we go.
Well, like I said, I also think that those re-releases were meant to happen, but they were meant to happen while she was working on the biopic. And since the biopic has been sort of temporarily put on hold, so have the re-releases, because she wants to do new music. If she's going on tour, she don't want to have Like a Prayer reissue coming out while she's doing that. She wants fresh. She wants new. Remember, you can find us on Instagram at MLVC Podcast. You can also donate to the podcast on Venmo at MLVC Podcast, or think about becoming a subscriber on Patreon, patreon.podbean.com/MLVC Podcast. I like to get that out of the way up front of the show now, so that way people don't tune us out at the end.
Good idea.
Yeah. But before we wrap up season 4, we just had to talk about one of the biggest, most unthinkable events to ever occur in Madonna's career. She's always bringing us goodies. And of course,
You know she'll take you there.
we've got a lot to discuss today. So don't just stand there. Let's get to it. It's time for This Week in Ciccone.
See, I get what I want.
The big topic of du jour is obviously Madonna's sex book reissue. We had alluded to it, and now we're going to deep dive on it. What did you all think? I mean, obviously, a little background for everyone. Originally published in 1992 alongside the release of her erotica album, Sex, which sold out its original publication run, became one of the most sought-after photo books in the art world. Now, 30 years later, as part of Art Basel in Miami, we have seen the official republication of this iconic book. Madonna teamed up with Yves Saint Laurent to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the book. They constructed a sex book pop-up shop on the beach of Miami with over 16 prints of photographs that were contained in the book, and 800 copies of the book were available for sale, as well as a t-shirt and tote bag. They are available at outrageously expensive prices, but it's all for a good cause. Proceeds are meant to go to Madonna's Raisi Malawi charity. So boys, what do we think of the reissue?
Well, I want to know who found the 800 copies of Sex that were hiding in the Maverick storage locker in Beverly Hills. Give that person a raise.
Right.
Ricardo found them in the back of her closet in the Upper West Side apartment that he crashes at.
Or maybe Lola needed the space in the storage unit for like a rehearsal studio. That could be it too.
The mind wanders. I mean, I'm still thinking about what, Rocco and Lola are saying to each other while they're standing in front of a blown up portrait of their nude mother hitchhiking in Miami,
I think that's probably the least of what they've seen.
Right? Oh, imagine
Yeah.
that.
The stories.
Those walls could talk.
I'm excited to see the reissue of the book and sort of the celebration of the period. And it's been very interesting in how the media has covered it minimally at best compared to how it was in 1992. But it's been very interesting to see particularly young queer people today on social media who are sort of paying attention to the moment and engaging with it in a way, not just making fun of her appearance or, granny jokes or any of that kind of stuff, but really interrogating what the book was and what it looks like in today's sort of, I hate to use this word, the sort of presentism that the right wing is trying to co-opt right now, but this idea of looking at things with the present standard of art and culture. But this is actually a case where that's beneficial because it causes you to realize just how far ahead of its time that book was, both as an art object and as a subject and as someone that famous doing it, and the level of critique, news coverage, and social dialogue that it occupied in that month time when it came out. And nothing dominates culture like that anymore in the social media era. And I've really been thinking about that a lot. And so I'm very grateful that it's back out and that she's celebrating it. Like, she's engaging with it, which I was just like, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, it's like, it felt so old school and I didn't want it to feel nostalgic, and it doesn't. And so it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful.
No, I agree with you there, because Erotica and Sex were two of my favorite Madonna projects, and to see her kind of revisit that and in a non-ironic way is something we've all kind of maybe wished for. And, it's holding it up as it should be, because this is a monumental work that no one has really been able to duplicate, as Ben says, just like total media domination.
That's a very important word to use there, Tony, is unironic, like, which she is always like, I'm being ironic, but there's no irony here. It's so genuine and celebratory, and that's so important. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and it has grown as an art piece, and the photos stand up to today's standards. I mean, they're kind of timeless now, and I'm interested in actually seeing what some of the unreleased shots that are that were blown up and shown in the exhibition. We haven't really been able to see those. So I'm curious to see what those look like. And also just to look through the book in its reissued form, because I'm sure there may be minor tweaks and, improvements, if you will. I mean, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I know for one thing, they have not switched. I mean, to debunk your theory, I do believe they are originally reproduced copies, because the new books do not contain a CD inside the Mylar wrapping. So unless maybe that's why they have 800 copies laying around. Maybe there was during the original run, 800 copies didn't get the original CD, and they were like, we can't sell these, and so they tucked them in Madonna's vault. And suddenly now Madonna's like, yeah, let's just get rid of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised the erotic remix didn't show up on our streaming last Friday.
No, that would have been wonderful.
But that might be part of the reissue plan down the road, if they reissue erotica with Goodbye to Innocence, the erotica, sex book remix. There might be other things coming down the road with that, so we don't know. Because I know I was sad that Goodbye to Innocence did not get a re-release, but I'm sure it's
that's a rights issue, right? Because of where it was on the
Just Say Row.
Yeah, the Just Say Row, and I think it's licensed under a different record label.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. And then, we got Up Down Sweet, which is basically Goodbye to Innocence, stretched out over 9 minutes. But I'm just glad we have that, the Waiting remix. And
that Waiting remix is so heaven. I've been listening to it on repeat. It's so good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I've loved this. I'm so happy that it was the 30th anniversary of erotica. I mean, like Tony said, it's one of my favorite eras of Madonna as well. And I feel like I'm able to appreciate it very differently now that I'm older. I think when it first came out, I was a little scared about what was going on with Madonna. I was, she was kissing men, she was kissing women, she was naked all over the place. And I was just like, I don't know what's happening to Madonna. Now I'm just like, rocket, Dita. This is amazing. Good for you. And I'm just happy that she's giving it the attention that it deserves, and that other people are finally appreciating it. It's amazing that so many people are applauding her for this. And I'm like, well, it only took you 30 years. Where were you 30 years ago when she was getting shit on left and right? So,
well, Madonna wouldn't be Madonna if she didn't extract some money from our bank account. So I see that she's got some merch being sold here through YSL. It's this really cute black T-shirt that has the sex logo in the front. Yeah, I think there's a tote bag too, all black with a little monogram of sex, and it can be yours for I think around $250. Steph and Ben and I, we're probably not going to be purchasing these for ourselves, but if any of our fans would like to send us each one of these, then go right ahead. Christmas is right around the corner.
It's on my Christmas wish list.
Exactly.
I'm going to play the lottery and buy one for all of us. That's how we're going to get it.
I mean, the way I look at it is like, this podcast provides a service, and it has for 4 years. And, it's time to grease the wheel, guys, so... Yes. Send us some sex. And also, exactly. I think the book's been marked down, right?
It's a discount price. Yes, Christmas sale. I think it was originally $27.50 on the YSL site, and they've marked it down. It's now a scant $2,200.
Oh, that's adorable. I love the 150 million% markup from the $50. Or was it $49.99?
It's like I've said, inflation's real, y'all. $50 in 1992 now translates to $27.50. I mean,
now you have me wanting to go to Google and see what that actually what the inflation would be.
Hey,
actually, I read the other day, I think the book would have cost us up to $90 now with
that's
inflation.
It. I see. I would figure it would be more than that. Well, so I also wanted to talk about the party because obviously, in addition to the little exhibit that they concocted on the beach in Miami, which it was a beautiful building. I don't know if you got a chance to see what the building looked like. It was very gorgeous. Cool, very chic. I was like, can this be my house? I want to move into that building. Beachfront property. I mean, come on. But looked super chic. And Thursday night, Madonna had her little get together. It was the opening night party. Fashion elite beyond belief were there. She held court with
The kids were there.
The kids were there, Lourdes
Yep.
and Rocco. I think there was, her Evan Mock from Gossip Girl. He loves to chat around Madonna. He was there. Tony
Zoe
Ward,
Kravitz.
ex-boyfriend and participant in the sex book, was there. Yeah, Zoe Kravitz was there. Honey Dijon was spinning.
Which is interesting because, Zoe Kravitz, the daughter of one of Madonna's ex-boyfriends, cute.
I was disappointed that we didn't see any Naomi Campbell or Vanilla Ice
Steven.
or, where was Steven Meisel?
But he hasn't been seen in public a lot lately, so who knows?
He doesn't want to go out in the sunshine, maybe?
It could be.
But what did you all think of the party? I thought she looked great. I loved her little outfit.
I thought it looked that everybody looked. I like that people were pretty on theme with like black and white. Like everyone was dressed in gorgeous, like black and mesh and see through, and a lot of the creatives were there too, like JR and you mentioned Honey Dijon, all the people that she's been working with lately, which I'm excited for Honey to be around for other reasons. But anyway, we can talk about that later. Also, it's interesting when you go through the pictures, you get to see glimpses. We were talking earlier about what were some of the photos that were sort of new or different. In some of the photos from the event, you can see a couple of them on the back wall, like in the front when you clearly walked into the space, where like the one where she's got the toe in her mouth and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But toward the back, you can see some full color ones that look like the new pictures that maybe we haven't seen before. There's a couple.
So I think what's interesting about the blow up images at the images that have been enlarged at the event was some of the pictures that they did use at the event are in the book, but there's like an overlay on some of them. So like there's a picture of her squatting on the lawn lighting a cigarette, and in the book that's completely covered with lyric or like some writings that she's done, so you don't really get a clear image or clear view of that picture, and it's gorgeous. Like the quality is so gorgeous. I would love to see them in person. Oh, did you see that Guy Oseary talked about being there, and he said, YSL, can we take this show on the road? And I thought, can they please take this around to like a New York museum, like an LA museum, something like just tote it around. I would go see it in a heartbeat and do more. Like just have the whole book up for display.
I wonder if there is a blown up version of that infamous outtake of Madonna peeing in the toilet, because we want to see that.
I want to see that. I do. On the actual the YSL account, that photo you were talking about, Stefan, with where she's lighting the cigarette and the purse is in front of her, that's actually featured in the background of one of the portraits of one of the celebrity guests on YSL's Instagram.
Yes.
I was like, wait, I know the photo you're talking about, and I had to go and find it.
Well, and if you want to see some really amazing outtakes, I don't know if you know, so Stella, what is her name? Stella Ellis. She was the plus size model that was in the little comic book strip that they put with Dita in the very back of the sex book. And she also was one of the people in the dungeon scenarios where she's sort of like getting whipped with a riding crop and whatnot.
Yes.
So Stella Ellis has been posting all of these fantastic outtakes that I have never seen from the sex book sessions, and they're amazing. And I'm like, oh my God, how many outtakes are there that we haven't seen? Like there's one of her washing Madonna in a soapy bathtub. And I thought, I've never seen this. So go on to Stella Ellis's account and see the treats that she's been posting the last 2 days. They're amazing. And I'm going to try to get her on the show.
Yeah, I know. I've been following her for a long time. She's incredible. She's also a former Thierry Mugler model.
Yes.
But yeah, when I see those images, it just reminds me that, the sex book was shot on Super 8 film, and these are stills taken from the film. So there are hours and hours and hours of film, silent film that they took. And, you can see a lot of that footage in the erotica video, but I want to see it completely, you know?
Right. That could be part of the sex book tour when they, show the exhibit around. I could see it at MoMA, and they would have a room with the film, and the rest of it would just be, maybe they could have like mannequins with some of the outfits on, reenacting some of the scenes. Like they could suspend a harness and have people whipping.
I think they just need to have the photos in extra big size, and people will come because they'll have a big party. It'll make the news. Art Basel is sort of under the radar for a lot.
It's for those that know, right, Ben?
Right. But it's not like a widely known thing.
Right.
Like you're right. If they took it to New York,
it's
would
money. We don't have the money to go to art. I don't have the money to go to Art
that's a very
Basel.
expensive.
Oh, you're right. I remember they did take it to New York in 2019, and it was kind of a flop.
Yes, they had like a version of it, and it didn't do very well.
What, Art Basel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a place where rich people from around the world like to get together and brag about how much money they spent on art. And Madonna's no exception. She's been one of the most astute art collectors, since the mid-'80s.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
She looked like she was having fun. She was dancing with Honey Dijon. And I did notice she arrived to the party in heels, but she then switched over to those boots that she loves from Donatella, and good for her, because I can't imagine walking around on sand in heels. That would be that's a ankle dislocation waiting to happen.
Well, Dita did that, but Madonna's not doing that.
She's smarter. The Dita of 2022 is smarter than the Dita of yore.
Well, she's also getting into hopefully touring shape, so she's not going to do anything that could injure herself.
Now,
I'm glad that you brought that up, Benjamin.
Well,
that was next item on my list.
Is that real? I've been hearing things here and there, and you know me, I like full press release, until I start talking about things. So,
True.
What's going on? Is there a tour?
So I cannot confirm or deny if the rumor is true or not, because I've signed an NDA. I'm just kidding. No,
Stefan knows people. He knows people.
I do know people. I hear things. I get told things in passing. But all I can say is my crystal ball is telling me that Madonna's tour announcement is not going to arrive until 2023 now. Not in December like we originally forecasted, but the crystal ball is telling me that announcement has been moved to January.
Maybe.
Is it possible it was because of the Ticketmaster debacle with Taylor Swift? I don't know.
Maybe, who knows? This might be a stretch. Maybe she'll show up at the Super Bowl with Rihanna and she'll announce it that night.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Remember that rumor from a few years ago? Remember that rumor from a few years ago with The Weeknd, and it was like very elaborately described, and then nothing happened, right? She bought his house. That was the rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she would be, where is the Super Bowl this year? I have no idea, but she would be in rehearsals for that already.
Oh, no, yeah, that's like a pie in the sky, shot in the dark. But
my hope is that she shows up at the Grammys and her and Beyonce perform the Queen's remix and get a bunch of people on stage, since they'll all be in one place. That's my dream.
Oh, yeah, let's have Solange on stage.
Then she announces the tour.
Either which way, seeing Madonna dance at Art Basel confirmed that she is definitely getting tour ready. She was moving like no other 64-year-old I have ever seen.
Yeah, I hope I can move like that at 64. I can barely move like that now at almost 50. So, Lord, help it.
It's money, Benjamin. You hire a trainer. You need a trainer and a massage therapist and a macrobiotic and
a lawyer, a manager, a nanny, and a chef.
A nanny and a chef. But at least she still had her glass of rosé. I was like, oh, she hasn't gone all the way back to being strict. She's got that glass of rosé.
Oh, I miss macrobiotic Madonna, though.
No. I think about that icky, whatever that was she was eating
seaweed
in
soup,
Truth or Dare. And I was just like, that just, even in black and white, that looks absolutely disgusting. Why?
Well, also speaking of next year, apparently Tokisha is coming out with her debut album next year, and it is rumored that when Madonna and Tokisha were in the studio recording vocals for the Hung Up remix, they have also decided to record an original song. Some sleuthing Madonna fans went online and were able to discover that there was a song registered called A Woman's Work Is Never Done. and it is meant to be appearing on Tokisha's album, and that is apparently the song that Madonna and Tokisha have worked on. And if you do go back on social media when they were in the studio, they hashtagged "A Woman's Work Is Never Done," and we all know Madonna loves to hashtag songs of titles that we don't know about yet, and it's like a wink wink to what's forthcoming. So
well, I'm still waiting for hashtag magic. You know.
Oh,
but no, this is
my God.
exciting. This is very, very Maluma-esque, and I like it. You know, it's like let's hang out with the Latins. Let's make some Latin music, and let's rebrand Madonna as, you know, a collaborator with these, you know, up and coming artists. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's also fun when she's doing that and she's having fun with it. It comes across and it's just not forced, and I like the fun of it.
Tony, what vibe do you think we'll get from that collaboration?
I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I really was surprised by the Hung Up remix. I thought it worked really well. I've listened to some of Tokisha's music, and it's hard to categorize because it's Latin, but it's also very street and, you know, reminds me a lot of like, you know, New York underground, you know, rap music or dance music. I don't know. It's hard to categorize. So I'm just going to wait and see, like all of us, you know?
Ben, what do you hope it will be?
Well, I think it's going to be exactly, and I think we talked about this in a previous This Week in Ciccone, that my partner used to live up in Washington, Dominican Heights area. And like, I've listened to Tokisha, and her sound is what you hear on the street when you walk down like Broadway and other streets in that neighborhood. Like, it's that whole energy and vibe. And I could totally see them doing something in that vein. And maybe Madonna's on the hook and has a good bridge. Hopefully she wrote that bridge and it's a very Madonna bridge, because we like a Madonna bridge. That's what I expect. Is I hear it. I can't really describe it, but it's like a totally like subdued groove that just gives you that energy of like walking down the street and everybody's talking and it's like exciting and fun.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that hopefully that's the vibe they're going for. I mean, as long as she stays away from the Champagne Rosé, we'll be fine. You know?
Sign of the cross for that. Oh my God.
Boys, did you have any other items that you wanted to discuss?
I just wanted to reiterate that we are very, you know, excited about this, you know, reissue of the sex book, and that we will be accepting all gifts this December. But, you know, there's a lot of like cute merch still on Madonna.com. So yeah, I mean, you know, as far as like Christmas shopping, you've got your work cut out for you people.
Exactly. Avoid having Tony naked on the highway hitchhiking for a ride.
Although if that's what it takes to get somebody to buy me a copy, I'll do it.
Yeah, finally, enough love, you know.
I'm like, I mean, it's winter, but I will do it if someone will send me a copy.
We'll just fly to Miami and do it in Miami where it's done.
But all in all, guys, I mean, think of it. We've had a full year of Madonna stuff that we really are not used to this, you know?
Yeah, she hasn't disappeared for a hot minute like she so often does.
You know, things were a little here or there in 2021, but I think Madonna just pulled herself up by her bootstraps like she always does and said, all right, guys, it's time to get to work. And the Frozen remix era is over, so let's move on from there. And I'm so glad she did. I'm going to do a sign of the cross for that one too, Ben.
Absolutely. And to your question, Stefan, about what other thing we would say, back to what I was talking about earlier, I would actually encourage all of our listeners, because you can access most of this stuff through your public library, it's all in databases, is to go back and read some of the essays and stories from Time and Newsweek and Entertainment Weekly, and even some literary, like humanities journals that were publishing essays and stuff about the sex book at the time that it came out. Don't read the stuff that revisits it and has sort of revisionist take. Read what people were saying at the time and then sit with it in the here and now and all the progress and change that we've had in those 30 years since Clinton became president and they instituted Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and there were advances, but a lot of setbacks with Defense of Marriage Act and like that. And just sit with that and think about that 30-year arc of change.
Mm-hmm.
And reading those articles now I felt out of body, but also I couldn't believe. I'm like, wow, the world has just changed in such amazing ways, even in this small thing that it really made me appreciate it. And I think that was the biggest thing I've gotten out of this re-release, other than seeing the pictures like blown up and just remembering how much I enjoyed that book, it really made me think about and appreciate how much societal and cultural change that we've experienced, and how much that book and what she was doing really was pushing that forward in a way we probably didn't understand at the time.
Very well said. I also want to let our listeners know, for some of those that don't have their own copy of the sex book, you can go online. An intrepid Madonna fan put it on a PDF. So if you just Google Sex Madonna PDF, it will pop right up. And I recommend lighting a candle, dimming the lights, putting on erotica, and just spending time with the book and reading what she wrote, and just really thinking about those photos. Maybe not all of us know where the references, where they came from, but a lot of it is basically like a look inside Madonna's mind, and it's really interesting when you look at it in that respect.
Absolutely. And certain parts of it really represent a New York City that doesn't really exist anymore.
Exactly.
Like that's wild. To the stuff I just glimpsed very quickly at the stuff that Stella's posting. I'm like, wow, like those places. I mean, there's a few spots in New York that are still like that, but not like they used to be. It's just completely changed since then. It's wild to think about. Yeah,
Madonna created a time capsule of a place and time, and I'm so glad she did. Because she's got a good eye. She, we can say a lot of things about Madonna, but she's got good taste.
Absolutely,
agreed. Well, everyone, that's our show for today. That concludes our season 4. I would like to personally thank Tony and Liberty and Ben for joining me on this podcasting journey. It's been so great to have your energies on the show. Tony, did you have anything that you wanted to say before we sign off for the season?
Yes, I was actually going to thank you and Liberty and Ben. I feel like we've got this little Madonna Scooby gang, and it's cute. And I love that we all have share the love of Madonna, but we also have different points of view. And I think that's interesting for our listeners and for us too. I mean, we are never bored here, are we?
Agreed. We are not.
Ben, do you have any parting final thoughts of season 4?
Just only to say how much fun this is, and I'm glad that people enjoy it, and we need to let everybody know that, yes, we are working on the screenplay for Nikki's Revenge during the break.
I mean, from your mouth to God's ears, I mean, I dream about Nick, Who's That Girl 2, Nikki's Revenge, pretty much every day, at least once a day,
Oh my gosh. I have ideas. I've got the axe. Like, we can do this.
I mean, we can get Griffin Dunn to direct. He wants to direct only now. So
Julia Garner's not going to be doing the biopic anytime soon. She can play Nikki Finn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
We can do a whole time travel plot. Yeah.
Well, before we go, I have a very small Christmas gift to give to Ben and Tony and Liberty. This is a little something I pulled together real quick last night as I was prepping for today. 'Twas the MLVC before Christmas, and all through the podcast, every listener was stirring. They were having a blast. Ben's stockings were hung by the chimney with care, and filled with gin, bourbon, Tanqueray, and some ale. With Liberty nestled all snug with her guitar, while melodies of her #1 songs danced by the stars. And Tony was frolicking through the streets of San Fran, with tinsel and glitter and holiday plans. When out on the lanai there arose something in the air, I sprang from my microphone to see if it was like a prayer. Away to the borderline I flew like a virgin, tore open the shutters to see what I could be observing. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but Madonna as Dita with grills dancing near. She was dressed all in leather from her head to her feet, with a bustier and riding crop to make the outfit complete. She was curvy and vivacious, a right sexy femme fatale, and I moaned when I saw her in spite of it all. A wink of her eye and a crack of her whip soon gave me to know I would get a kiss on the lips. She spoke not a word, but went straight to her work and filled all the stockings, then gave me a smirk. And laying her hand down below on her crotch, she commanded I stand there and asked me to watch. She sprang to her sling, gave the rope a great tug, and I knew that her plan was to teach me to fuck. But I heard her exclaim as she climaxed so right, "My name is Mistress Dita, and happy Christmas tonight." The end.
Yes.
Oh, that is so good. And
Snaps.
I mean, I love the juxtaposition of Christmas and BDSM. It always should have been put together, and now it has been. You know.
Yes.
So thank you, Stefan.
Whole new
for,
meaning to Santa baby.
Yeah. Thank you for my new Christmas wish. You know.
Yes. Well, remember, everybody, MLVC will return in 2023 for season 5, where we will continue to talk about Madonna Louise, Veronica Ciccone, and her ongoing adventures. We look forward to having you all along for the ride. Until next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
You fucking all talking over the whole thing. Thank you. Please, no pictures, please. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. Woohoo! Hey. Thank you. Thank you. You've been a great crowd.